This is day 4. This is Nehemiah chapters 11 and 12. And up to this point in our study in the book of Nehemiah, the wall has finally been rebuilt. Their hard work, their sweat, and all the energy they put into rebuilding the wall is now complete. But the city is still not populated. It's still kind of run down. People really aren't getting involved. And it's really a weird time for the people of God because morale was low. Nobody really wanted to live in the city at that time. They were still facing opposition from outside forces. And overall, it was just a really, really dark time in the nation's history. Yet God still promised restoration, that he would bring it to the land. And the bulk of chapters 11 and 12 are simply a list of names who were called out to simply pack up their stuff and to return to their homeland of Jerusalem. And I don't know if any of you have ever, maybe your family's moved or you've helped someone move, but you know, if you've done that, you know it's a tough task. It's not easy. There's a lot of packing, there's a lot of moving, there's a lot of lifting, there's a lot of unpacking, there's a lot of situating. It's just a rough time for everyone involved. It was no easy task. However, this call to return to Jerusalem testifies to the faithfulness of God, that he was going to reestablish their land. He was going to bring the people back and make them feel safe and secure in their land once again. God was not through with them yet. God had not abandoned them. God had not forsaken them. And the same is true for you. God is still working on you, and God wants you to allow him to work in your life. He wants to work in you, and he wants to work through you. God will remain faithful to his promises. And God was faithful to his people to return to their homeland, as we see in Nehemiah chapters 11 and 12. This was no easy task to get up and move, and he was trying to multiply the city. There's all types of things that were going on in these two chapters. But one thing in particular is this, that as God was moving people back, calling them back to their nation, God was showing his faithfulness to them, and they in turn were obeying the Lord. So in your life right now, with where you're at, how are you being called to obey God in ways that might not be easy? Maybe you don't have a quiet time and you're trying to develop that, or maybe you're trying to figure out what it looks like to pray to the Lord. Or maybe you're looking at yourself saying, how can I share my faith while I'm cooped up in my house trying to figure out how to complete my assignments for school? It might be different for each and every person, but the question I have for you as we look at chapters 11 and 12 is, how do I obey the Lord even though it might be a tough task that God is calling you to do?